and welcome to episode 105 of the Perth to Paisley podcast. 105, also the amount of injuries that Heart Midlothian will pick up in the month of October as the team continue to go without a victory. Joining me, Adam Kennedy, to discuss the goings-on in Gorgie and elsewhere is Daniel McIver. How are we, mate?
I'm doing very well. I saw other people last week chastise you for your terrible opinions on the books. So I was very happy to see that. I've read both the books and got more books. So I'm having a great week. How are you?
I was wondering what earth you were referring to then, and then I remembered, I was turning into Billy Connolly for absolutely no apparent reason. And I'm not a big James Acaster lover either. But that's life. In terms of, me, this time in comparison to last week, I was very depressed on Friday night when I landed back in Edinburgh after one of, if not the very best away trip I've had supporting Hearts. What a time to be alive. Even though we got spanked 5-1, I mean, it just was just brilliant. Really, really good.
I'm really happy for you.
Thanks. What I'm not happy with is the club letting us down in said match and, the fans not being really repaid for the hours that they've worked, the money that they've spent.
What were we expecting, man?
It was a good laugh. It was a good laugh. Before we get into chatting about our
European conquest.
Yep, that. We're going to go around the grounds, actually. I was going to focus on some other results in the Europa Conference. Nobody really cares about elsewhere. It's all predominantly about
I was
Hearts.
not prepped on this.
Well, I just wanted to get your opinions on just another couple games, really. Istanbul, Başakşehir beat RFS 3-0 to move on to 10 points from a possible 12 within our group. Group B saw West Ham continue to pick up points there on maximum points, courtesy of a 2-1 victory against Anderlecht in London. Your favourites actually also moved on to 12 out of 12, McIver. Villarreal in Group C, thanks to a 1-0 win in Vienna over Austria Vienna. And Shamrock Rovers have claimed just 1 point from their 12, rooted to the bottom of Group F with their latest defeat in Dublin to Norwegian side Molde 2-0.
It's all happening. I was chuffed. Villarreal, it was right at the very end. It was a tough game.
Late goal, 87th minute, I think.
Yeah, very late goal, but who cares? They do well, well, I'll be all happy, and that's all I care about. It's interesting. I think the West Ham thing is really interesting because it shows you that West Ham aren't doing terribly domestically, but they're nowhere near the heights they were of the last few seasons. But they seem to just be able to turn it on in Europe.
And they seem to be taking it somewhat seriously as well. I'd have expected
I think they'll view this as a winnable
I think so,
competition. So it'll be interesting to see. And Scamacca seems to only turn up in Europe so far. He's amazing in Europe. He's not really done anything in the league.
What else? I was going to say something there with regards to I don't know, just elsewhere in Europe. I can't get my nut around the fact that today, as we record, Neil Lennon has left Ammonia Nicosia, and yet he was minutes away from claiming a point at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
in the European football, man. It's actually barking.
I didn't even know he was away. Are they doing terribly domestically?
I would assume.
You have to assume so if he's left. Yeah.
But there you go. We've spent far too long.
You'll be at Clyde in 2 months or something.
I think, no. Do you reckon he'd take the Aki's job? He'd continue to struggle in the Championship, maybe?
I think he'll be like, that's too low for me. I genuinely think anything below the Premiership, he will go, no, I'm good enough for that.
I wonder what Premiership managers would be under pressure. Ross County, maybe he might.
Yeah, I think he would go to Ross County. I think that'd be funny.
What a fall from grace. That would be funny. Anyways, enough about Neil Lennon. We're going to chat about Hearts being scudded because that's something worth discussing far more. The Jambos headed over to one of Edinburgh's 14 twin cities, Florence, to take on La Viola at the Stadio Artemio Franchi. Robbie Neilson made 3 changes to the Hearts team that claimed a draw at Rugby Park in the 2-2 comeback against Kilmarnock. An entirely new midfield trio saw the ineligible Robert Snodgrass, Orestes Kiyomurtsoglu, and surprisingly, Lauren Shankland drop onto the bench. In came George Grant, Cammy Devlin, and Peter Haring to start in Italy. We went 4-3-3, Gordon in goal, back four of Nathaniel Atkinson, Stephen Kingsley, Alex Cochrane, and Andy Halliday. Devlin, Haring, and Grant in the middle, like I say, with Alan Forrest and Barry Mackay supporting Stephen Humphreys. What did you make of that 11 when you first saw it?
I was really happy that Humphreys was starting. That was my main worry. My main worry was that he was going to be dropped. And I was chuffed about that. Obviously, chuffed for Devlin to come back in. I was like, great. It means that we actually might have some form of intensity in midfield this time. And I thought it totally makes sense. I know that Robbie in the week had said that 4 players, Halkett, Gino, Smith, and Gary Mackay-Stephen hadn't travelled. So yes. It basically told the story that Atkinson was going to be starting, but he fully deserved to start after his appearance against Kilmarnock. So generally, and this will become a theme of this episode, I thought at that time that's probably the best team we can put out considering the circumstances, with one exception.
And that exception being?
George Grant's rubbish, isn't he?
You're just going to address this now. I've said for a little while, I'm yet to be convinced.
I was convinced against Tranmere when there was no pressure on him and he could just walk about the place, putting in against crosses.
Go down to Tranmere.
And I remember he came on first game of the season, or first home game of the season against Ross County when we won, and he did actually change the game. I remember him coming on and it was like, from that moment on, we did well. See, from the derby until now, has he done anything of merit? And I'm not saying that he seems like a lovely guy, and I hope for him to be well, because we have we're running out of players here, so he's going to have to start more games. But we'll speak about it. I'll let you cover the very first chance where I just think immediately he should do better.
Okay, let's chat about that, because you talked about how happy you were to see Stephen Humphreys start.
I love this man.
I was in that exact same bracket, mate. Honestly, just dig the checkbook out right here, right now.
Yes.
And it could have proved a phenomenal start. I dread to think of the nick of some of our fans had this gone in. 30 seconds on the clock. Sloppy passing from the hosts. Sees Barry Mackay intercept. Slips in Stephen Humphreys, hits a first-time effort with his left foot off the post, and George Grant cannot convert the rebound when he probably slides more towards the goalkeeper than the far corner, which he should. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, basically, Humphreys does so well. And it was immediately, this is why we all wanted him to start. Just, he's direct, he's fast, he's strong, he knows where to put himself. He's got striker's instincts. He's so good. He's a weird rugby player playing football, and I love him for it. And he does so well, and he's so unlucky. I know George Grant doesn't have a lot of time to think about what he has to do. And he's probably thinking, I just need to get a shot off here. But as you say, he still is really close to the keeper and the goal, and decides to put it straight at the keeper. And I'll be honest, so I only watched the first half of this live. I then had other plans that I was away for the second half. So I then watched it back in full. But I watched this first half, and in that moment, I think I gave him a bit more leeway than I do now upon seeing it back. I was too caught up in Humphreys.
100%.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, oh, well, it's coming on quick. He doesn't know. But how good was that from Humphreys? And then you watch it back in the cold light of day and be like, he should be doing better. Yeah. We'll speak about that. Missing sitters is going to be the trend of this episode.
I know. It's just the theme of October already, isn't it?
Yeah.
That Humphreys chance, man, that was literally right up the other end.
Yeah.
From us.
Yeah.
So when I see that he's getting ready to pull the trigger, I'm like, do you know what? Fuck it. Why not? You've got every right to. Then he sends one toward the corner initially. I first thought, and I was like, oh my god, oh my God, everybody's getting ready. We're just getting prepared. And then we all just see it cannon off the post. I was genuinely devastated. I was like, no chance. It's been robbed. It's been taken from us. I honestly felt as though somebody had grabbed like my child. And I'm just watching them chuck them in the car, knowing what could have been. And then I just see it and it's just horrible. Just taken away from you.
I really worry for your future children that you view their safety as paramount as a Stephen Humphreys missed chance.
Oh, because it just would have been crazy. It would have been absolute carnage, but unfortunately.
And then that was all the good things gone. Like, that was it. That was all the positivity gone.
Well, out that first half, certainly, because Christian Kouame looked to head home from a free kick for the hosts after just 2 minutes, but a solid save from Craig Gordon prevented him from doing so. However, it took just 5 minutes
Which
for the deadlock to be broken.
Is an improvement. Smith and Nielsen both said we don't want to concede after 4 minutes, and we didn't. We conceded after 5. So the game plan worked.
Baby steps, baby. This is what it's all about. Baby steps.
Yeah.
Cristiano Baragi's corner is played short to Sofiane Amrabat. The captain receives back from the midfielder after sprinting into an onside position. Luka Jovic heads home from his delivery, just out jumps Alex Cochrane like he's not even there. In fairness to Cochrane, I wouldn't fancy going up against Luka Jovic, and he's even smaller than I am. So he clinched their third at Tynecastle, puts Fiorentina ahead after 5 minutes. We've made baby steps, McIver, but it's far from the ideal start.
Was it not a free kick?
No, I'm pretty sure it was a corner.
I thought somebody got pushed and it was a stupid free kick to give away, but I might be wrong. It was definitely a ball in.
Was that not the second?
Oh no, that was never a free kick. That was like a foul that shouldn't have been. Whereas the first one, it was like, what are you doing?
We'll come to that.
Regardless, it was a ball into the box that again we just can't deal with. We're incapable of doing it just now, and it's so frustrating. And it's not even just like, oh, it's a ball into the box. It's a ball into the box with a £55 million striker in the middle of that box, going up against a guy who he is much taller than. Jovic is way taller than Cochrane. But because needs must at this moment, Cochrane had to play centre half, a position he's never played before this month, basically. And he's just not built for it. So yeah, as soon as that went in, it was just, oh, that's it then. Right, cool.
When we touched down in Milan on the Wednesday night, we were chilling in the airport on the Wednesday and saw that Rangers had gone 1-0 up against Liverpool. So we were in the air as that match was taking place.
Jesus.
I couldn't help but wonder, as soon as I got my phone out and saw Liverpool score 7 at Ibrox, but you could see it as early as that. There's a worry. There's a worry that a repeat of that, or even worse than that, was on the cards. And those feelings were certainly felt again at half time, but we'll talk about that when we get there. You mentioned the fact that obviously it's a header for Jovic. There was another Baragi corner which nearly proved yet another Achilles heel for Hearts. It sets up nicely for Rolando Mandragora. However, he smashes off the post. He was the fella that opened the scoring after 4 minutes. So the fact that we kept him quiet for, what was that, 12? Yeah.
See, baby steps.
Performing 3 times as admirably.
Yes, exactly.
But we alluded to the free kick, and the skipper was causing chaos from that left-back spot. He would double Vincenzo Italiano's team's lead from a free kick after a Barry Mackay foul on Nicolas Gonzalez. This Gonzalez fella was proving, trying to think of the appropriate term here, a nuisance. I want to call him a little rat because he was a rat, but I will go with nuisance. And the left back sends an inch perfect free kick up and over the wall, past Craig Gordon in a flash. But you're adamant that it wasn't a free kick, McIver.
It's not a free kick. When you watch it, Rob McLean laughs and is like, well, that's just not a foul. And if Rob McLean gets something right, it's a rare occasion, right? But He's right in that occasion.
Hey, I'm not going to slag Robin McLean off. He's meant to be one of these sort of tutors that comes in my final year. So
Well, I'm not. I'll say him. He's absolutely horrific at his job and shouldn't be in the place that he is.
Wow,
he's terrible.
You might want to get off that fence. I mean, you ought to tell us how you really feel about the Bob McIver.
Exactly. Jesus. But it's not a foul. The guy just jumps into Mackay, and Mackay can't go anywhere, and then it's given as a foul. It's not fair that they have Baragi. He shouldn't be allowed. Like Baragi, Amrabat, Jovic, Bonaventura, they shouldn't be allowed to play against teams like us because it's just the game's done
as well.
Yeah, like it's just by that point you've already won. Just before we went out, you've won. You've got them. We've got Andy Halliday. Like, there's different levels to this game in Europe.
Do you know what? In saying that though, how it still winds me up. Talking about like European football as we're going around the grounds. How the hell did RFS get a point in Florence?
Because they shouldn't have. Because if you watch it back and look at the stats, it's like one of the most historic results they've ever had. And
it's the best result in their history. And Fiorentina peppered them. But how are they more competitive than we are?
Well, they're not. They're more competitive in a one-off game, but then we beat them. So, like, this is how it works.
But they got a draw with Istanbul.
Yeah, and then got battered by Istanbul. It's like,
yeah, but over in Turkey, we'll get battered in Turkey.
Yeah, but freak results can happen. And also, their keeper...
So why could one not fall for us?
Because they have to be freak results.
Is Saturday going to be a freak result?
No. Their keeper against Istanbul won Player of the Week in the conference tournament. He made 13 saves. Like, that's ridiculous.
Imagine making a save every 7 minutes.
Like, think of that. That's insane. That's why these big results happen, and the reason that people talk about them, because they shouldn't happen. You should play that game 100 times. Istanbul and Fiorentina win 99 of them. That's not how we compare it, where we also don't have it, because that's RFS at their full strength. We don't have anything near to our full strength.
Yeah, because our second fiddle have done a great job.
We're now at third string players, and folk are like, why aren't we competing with Fiorentina? Like, that's why. Because you haven't even mentioned 4 minutes in, Atkinson's hamstring just popped. Or whatever, or his ankle or something.
You're lucky I'm even looking back on this game. I was blutered. Genuinely. I was smashed. I was having the time of my life. I had a look at
I'm going to raise this now.
At the time, but I certainly didn't remember that.
I'm calling you out now.
Why?
I'm calling you out now because I promised I would do so on behalf of Keir McIver.
Why? What have I done to Keir?
Keir McIver, my brother, was in Florence. And he's walking, and after the game, he's walking out, and Mr. Too Big for His Fans, Adam Kennedy, walks past, and Keir goes, Adam. And Adam Kennedy, with his bucket hat on, barely able to walk straight, just walks right past him and ignores him. So
barely able to walk, never mind walk straight.
Keir asked
I'm
me
so sorry, mate.
to do this on the podcast and call you out publicly, so I'm doing it for you, Keir. It's an embarrassment.
Good, I'm glad. I'm sorry, mate. I really am. You should have came and just battered me over the chops.
I know that you were offering your hats to people in a square prior to this, like 6 hours before. A mutual friend of ours was getting a hat offered to you. So even by that point, you wouldn't have kent who Keir was. Never mind after the game.
I'm sorry, Keir. I do apologise, mate. Just come up and batter me next time.
Yeah, that's his plan.
Well, no doubt. On behalf of you.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, 2-0 down. Do you know what? It's not the end of the world. A worldly free kick. And the free header's annoying.
But a £55 million striker scoring against you, you can never complain that much.
Well, 2-2. I think it's about the only 2 goals that he scored this season.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he can't hit a barn door with a banjo in Serie A, and I think after he scored on Thursday night, it came up with a little 2 goals in 4 games. So he just loves playing against Hearts.
Basically.
Luca, if you are interested in a move to Gorgie, do hit us up. That would be great to
That's
solve
the
injury
Liam
crisis.
Boyce replacement in January.
But speaking of a Liam Boyce replacement, great segue, mate. Well done. Stephen Humphreys would flash one wide after receiving from Barry Mackay as the Jambos went in search of a quick-fire response. Cammy Devlin won it back on the edge of his own area. Great to have him back. Before slipping to George Grant, who, in fairness, finds Barry Mackay, but the big striker pulled his effort wide of Pierluigi Golini's left-hand post. However, like I say, my mate, Nicolas Gonzalez, the little Argentinian rat, just after the half-hour mark.
I just want to say, I don't think he's that. I think he's a lovely footballer who I was very impressed watching.
Great footballer, but for the play acting and all that carry on, you're a rat.
I think he's nice.
He was filled for the second, as we say, and we're getting on the action. Antonin Barak found Christian Kouame on the edge of the area. Look at me just...
Kouame really annoys me because he's good. He's just really good.
He is good. Luka Jovic misses the Ivorian's pass, but it comes to the Argentinian at the back post, slots home. And look, I had my fear surrounding 7s, 8s, but I think it was at this point that I was actually beginning to be frustrated with how scrappy the goals that we were conceding were. If they had popped it round us, you hold your hands up, but this is just a shitty goal to lose.
It's just, I mean, the fourth's very similar. It's just a defence that is almost entirely out of position, isn't cohesive, is low on confidence, coming up against, yes, admittedly, a Serie A side that is struggling, but still a Serie A side that is worth more than
streets ahead of us.
Yeah, like 20 times more than our squad. Well, I saw our squad is what, if you look at transfer marked and all that kind of stuff, our squad's worth 13 million, their squad's worth 289 million.
So hold on a second. Does that mean that they are 20 times better than us?
I would say over the past 2 legs, we've shown that they're at least 20 times better than us. We scored though. We got that.
We did. We'll come to that.
You'll never sing that. We scored
that
one.
Was crazy. Yeah. We're gonna win 5-4. We're gonna win 5-4. Look, Gordon saved superbly from Gonzalez as he went in search of his second before substitute Toby Civic hoisted clear. However, it would become 4 after losing the ball cheaply in the middle of the park. You know, there's countless Fiorentina players that get on the ball. Barak, Jovic, Amrabat, Gonzalez, Barak, and Jovic again, Kouame, all running rings round us, one-touch stuff. It's pulled back to Barak, who slams home the fourth. 4 different goal scorers. And we're heading into half-time. 4-0 down, even worse than it was at Tynecastle.
I was thinking it was going to be 10.
I really was worried that it was going to be 8.
10 was the number in my head. I was like, are we actually going to get beat by double figures here? Like, is this...
Are we going to suffer a Cowden Beef?
Yeah, is this going to happen? Which is why I think I'm really positive about the second half. Because I was expecting...
The second half was great.
Yeah, I was expecting like that plus more. And actually we got nowhere near it, but we drew the half. So like...
And should have won the half.
Yeah. So like... Listen,
but it is done, of course.
Yeah.
Like, we're contextualizing this.
Yeah. It's easy to play when you're 4-0 down.
Oh, we look like world beaters.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want then.
The Gorgie Galacticos are back.
Cammy Devlin did roulette round the ref.
No passes.
Like, exactly. But the first half basically couldn't have went any worse. We have another player go off hurt, concede 4, have a glorious chance that we don't take. It's like the definition of everything you don't want. So we didn't get a red card, which is an improvement.
Surprisingly.
Baby
steps. Baby steps, baby.
But I was worried that it was going to get a lot worse. And then it didn't. So in a weird way, I'll take it.
It got better.
It did.
Remarkably, it got better at 4-0 down. There was a moment. A moment for the travelling Jambos to savour.
I'm glad you've got this. It would have been rubbish if we went and you didn't have anything to celebrate.
Well, I know countless people that were queuing up for a halftime beer, and they were left somewhat disappointed in the queue when they came back, and their beer went literally everywhere. Hearts came flying out the blocks in the second half, just as they also looked to do in the first. I will say that. Barry Mackay and Andy Halliday combined. You were giving them shit, but the left back slips.
I will say that made me sound like I'm like furious at Andy Halliday. I don't mean that. I just mean it's funny.
It's the first player that came to mind.
He's a funny player to reference in this because it's like we signed him on a free in his 30s and we're coming up against Luka Jovic. Like, that's a funny thing. I don't mean that disparagingly. I think he would find that funny as well. That, like, how am I here? How is this when my career's gone?
Yeah, I bet he wasn't thinking that when he was playing at Somerset in the Championship for us. And
exactly.
At Palmerston.
Just look about being like, I'm in the... by the way, before we got into what you all did...
Jesus.
I think that's a really rubbish stadium.
Not great.
I just looked at it. I'd never really seen it, right? Because obviously, when you think of the Serie A, you don't automatically think of Fiorentina.
San Siro's your first.
Yeah, exactly.
The San Siro is the best football stadium I've ever been to.
But, like, I'll be honest, Fiorentina, I know you might have batted us 9-1 in aggregate, but I'm going to take the high ground and say we've got a better stadium. So have that.
Can't disagree. Shove that up your pipe and smoke it.
Exactly. You might have your points and wins, but we've got the better stands. So
you might have stunning scenery and lovely squares for fans to gather, but
we've got Edinburgh in fairness. Like Edinburgh's good. Maybe not Gorby,
but tiny's out the way. Take them to, I don't know, Stratties and have them work that out. But anyway, as we were saying, the moment has arrived. Yes. Barry Mackay and Andy Halliday linking up down the left-hand side. The left back slips in, Big Humphreys, who just lets the ball roll in front of him, opens up the body, coolly converts with a fantastic finish, a cracking goal, and I couldn't see it through the hundreds of bodies in that little goldfish bowl and the weird sort of glass and everybody...
As Robert Borthwick called it, the dance floor.
The dance floor. I was left on the dance floor with many a limb in front of me. But as soon as I see said limbs flying, you better believe that mine started soaring. What an incredible feeling. And I can't remember celebrating a goal in a losing position like that in my entire life. It was brilliant.
As someone who wasn't even watching it as it happened, but as someone who was just experiencing it from home, I was just like, oh, I'm delighted for Humphreys. Like, that was my immediate thought. I was like, fair play to him, 2-2, that's great. But then I will say, my then immediate thought was, I'm really happy that yous have something to celebrate, because it would have been a good trip regardless, regardless of whatever happened in the game. But not only do you have this great trip, but there's that one moment. I really like the commentary on the BT Sport YouTube highlights, because it's not, I don't know who it is that's doing it. It's an English commentator. And he just seems really happy for us. He's like, it doesn't matter that it won't affect the score. Like, it sent the Scottish faithful into raptures, and you can tell that they're loving it. And like, fair play to him, whoever that was. But I was chuffed for you. I was glad.
I tell you what, mate. I mean, being down here for uni last year, one of the boys that I was sharing a flat with is an Italian sports journalist, newly qualified, and he was over both at Tynecastle and at the Artemio Franchi for the games. And he was messaging me saying that the Italian media were looking at the Hearts fans as though they'd won the World Cup with the goal celebration and then the subsequent stuff after the game. It was brilliant. What an atmosphere. And just like you say, we're sort of talking about Andy Halliday and Alloa, Queen of the South, like the shite. I wonder if Stephen Humphreys, when he was gearing up for a championship campaign with Wigan, thought, am I going to be the man to score for Hearts in Florence?
Yeah.
Football's mental at that, isn't it?
I will say that, like, there's that wee thread on Twitter that everybody will have seen of a Hearts persuasion from that Fiorentina fan who was speaking about how happy they were.
Which one? There's countless.
There's loads of them. And that was great to see as well, because let's be honest, travelling away football fans can often get a really bad reputation. And it was really cool, again, sat back home, seeing the way that we were being presented and that just everybody seemed to be getting on. Everybody, I mean, I imagine some Hearts fans fought and got annoyed at each other, but what's new there? Like, that's just the way football fans
the most divisive fan base in world football,
exactly.
Having a pop at one another. It wouldn't be a first.
But the way that Fiorentina fans and the city of Florence have reacted to us is great. Like, you just do feel a bit proud, being like, oh, we went over and we're sound.
Yeah, it's a great reflection on the club. And I think the club, their relationship, or not their relationship, but sort of the way that they were broadcast after the Istanbul game at home wasn't great. Mm-hmm. The reputation, I'm not going to say that it was in tatters, but it needed...
No, it wasn't. It was just a downside.
Yeah, it needed a second lease of life. It needed Hearts to be portrayed in a positive light. And ultimately, even if we're a Florence local that's a football fan or not, I think everybody appreciated the fact that there was hundreds of Hearts fans having a fantastic time, drinking plenty of beer, eating out of their restaurants, not trashing the place, looking after one another, cleaning up when necessary, and ultimately behaving to the very best of their ability. So the Hearts fans are a credit to the club anyway, but it's only in trips like this do you really see it come to the fore. So again, could not be prouder.
What even happened in the rest of this? Oh, we gave away a pen.
Well, this is it, because there wasn't a great deal else. I mean, we were talking about the fact that we were looking at Hearts being world beaters at 4-0 down. But the only other real note that I've taken was that Alex Cochrane conceded a penalty with a challenge on substitute Ricardo Saponara. Gonzalez takes, converts, cool, 5-1. Nobody really cares.
Yeah. Well, Stephen Humphrey scored in Europe, and that's class.
That was class. But I want to talk about something else that was class, because you talked about the fans all getting on with one another. I know that Hearts fans will debate over absolutely anything and everything with one another.
The grass is too long. No, it's not. It's perfect. How dare you?
But that was one of the most drunken away ends I've ever been in, but by far and away the very best in terms of atmosphere. That was brilliant. Tynecastle's atmosphere has rightly taken slaggings left, right, and centre recently, but that trip fully convinced me that if we get hundreds, dare I say, 1,000, 2,000 like-minded people, as was the case in Italy, then a potential singing section will undoubtedly be a success. There's not a single doubt in my mind, and I would love nothing more than Tynecastle to become a fortress again and to have that backing of a loud, proud, and admittedly sometimes angry Hearts fan base. That would be brilliant.
I do see it personally.
Oh, come on, mate. I'm trying to be positive. We just got smashed 5-1.
I don't mean that from a negative point of view. I don't mean that in the sense of like, I hope it doesn't.
There's going to be some controversy around the corner.
No, I just mean I think the scenario is too unique. I think going away on a multi-day trip in Europe to Fiorentina is not the same to being at home to St Johnston. Like, for all the will in the world.
Come down. Like, in saying that, St Johnston have their own little singing section and whatever.
But it's relative.
But I'm never going to be one to mock a singing section.
I've
got the utmost respect for those that back their team.
That's not what I'm saying. I don't mean I don't think it's going to happen because none of our fans care enough. That's not what I mean. I just mean I think objective. Like, I could not physically. I run a Hearts podcast. I couldn't get up for it the same levels as I did. For example, next Thursday we're playing Riga at home, right?
I'm still looking forward to that.
That's what I'm going to say. I'm more excited for that than any league game. So, like,
yeah, I hear that.
Even like derbies
that we're not used to, or
So I think it would be very hard to emulate that. I don't think it's impossible, and I would love it if we tried. It would be great.
I've got a good feeling. I do.
I hope I'm
honestly
wrong.
do. I know that there is that come down from ultimately Italy to Pittodrie, but I had an absolute blast. Picked up my Fiorentina scarf. I'm gonna chuck that on. What a time! I've got a soft spot for La Viola now. I really do. Beautiful place, great cuisine. Just a bit of a shit stadium, but a good side. So do you know what? La Viola, they're my boys.
Fair play.
When it comes to the old calcio, see, I got the lingo on point and everything. Right, let's move on. I'm sorry. Right, come on. Serious matters. The domestic stuff. The Singe. The return of the Singe. And there was certainly come downs aplenty. But one place, we're going to go around the ground, where there was not a come down, and my mood was lifted instantly, was in Glasgow's East End, as Celtic smashed Hibernian by 6-1. Before we get chatting about the other games, how funny is that? Brilliant.
I was on a train, right?
Oh.
I was on a train coming back from seeing my mum and dad. I'd go back home. I left theirs at half time when I think it was 4-1. And I was like, well, that's funny. But then as I was on the train, it was just like, it's 5-1. And in my head, I was like, oh, that's what we got beaten. They were like taking a piss out of us for that. And then as I was thinking of something funny to say, Celtic scored their 6th, and I was like, this is great. This is great. I'm a big fan.
Oh, delicious.
We're going to get beat worse than that on Saturday,
right? But 100% is a repeat of the 7 that they gave us at Tynecastle all those years ago. Oh,
it was still funny.
That was the definition of Hibsdet. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I was literally pissing myself as soon as I saw the 6th going. Fantastic. What a time to be.
That'll be us at half time as the 6th go in on Saturday crying.
And it's a Craig Gordon howler, no doubt.
Yes, because you're there. Yeah. You just attract Craig Gordon mistakes whenever
as I'm giving it Joe Hart stinking on Twitter. Yeah, there you go. But elsewhere in the Singe, I mean, the 3 other Saturday fixtures were, quite frankly, rubbish. Livingston snuck past St Johnstone 1-0 in West Lothian. Ross County and Dundee United played out a 1-1 draw in Dingwall. And there was a goalless draw in Paisley as St Mirren hosted Kilmarnock. Could you actually name me 3 less appealing Scottish fixtures if you tried?
Nah, and honestly, I have nothing to say about any of them.
Nice.
I'm just like...
Did you watch Sports Scene? No.
I watched the very start of Sports Scene to see the Celtic Hibs highlights, and then I was like, I don't care about the rest of these.
And then elsewhere on the Sunday, Motherwell, who haven't beaten Rangers in the league for 20 years.
It feels like our lifetime, they never... the joke is
possibly the best chance to ever beat Rangers in the league.
What are these doing, lads? Hamilball! What happened? It was so good for that 2-game period.
I'll tell you what, mate. Honestly, Hamilball would drive me insane. Motherwell, I either look like a top team or that they're not going to score for a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
And I can't work them out.
No.
There's a couple of Motherwell fans in my class, and one of them's just left so bemused by the entire situation. Like, what do you make of it?
It's really funny when you listen to The Terrace and Graham Thewlis is on, their Motherwell fan, because that is how he comes across, just in the sense of like, what's going on? I don't know what to do or what to say. Fair play to them.
But those were the other 5 fixtures in the Singe before we rounded off the weekend, heading up to Pittodrie, where we haven't won in our last 8 attempts.
Was the last one when Dowda scored?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah.
In a meaningless fixture.
I remember that game.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was doing dishes in my student flat, listening to Laurie commentate Dowda scoring.
Feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah, I'm fairly certain that was on ESPN, which doesn't even exist anymore over here.
It's on Satanta.
Oh dear, good laugh. Anywho, Robbie Nielsen made 4 changes after the defeat in Tuscany. Toby Sibic, Keogh, Robert Snodgrass, and Lauren Shankland were handed starts at Nathaniel Atkinson, Cammy Devlin, George Grant, and Peter Haring's expense. That meant that we started in a 3-5-2 stroke 3-4-1-2. Gordon goal, a back three of Kingsley, Civic, and Cochrane, a midfield quartet of Andy Halliday, Keogh, Snodgrass, and Alan Forrest, with Barry Mackay supporting Lauren Shankland and Stephen Humphreys. Now, before you get on to me, I checked various outlets to work out if that's the way that the team was put out. It looks like it was. I thought you were going to say something, so that's fine. So I'll just get your thoughts on the team, McIver.
I had two main thoughts. Three. One, we've found an 11. That's impressive with the current injury crisis. I'm very impressed. Two, it was attacking. It was more attacking than I thought. Shankland and Humphreys being together. But that then led me on to my third point, which made me go, wait, that looks like it, with the personnel, that makes it look like it's going to be Shankland and Humphreys. And I had a moment of realization going, we're in such a bad injury crisis that Alan Forrest is playing right wing back.
But he played there a couple of times in pre-season, no?
Yeah, and was always moved forward because he wasn't good defensively because he's a wee guy. He's a wee winger.
I hear that. But that's the time to try it out in pre-season.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I don't
obviously
disagree
now the
with
treatment table is, that populated that needs must. So
I know it wasn't a tactical choice by Robbie. It was very much, Alan, you're the only right-sided player we've got currently because Smith, Gino, and Atkinson are all out. It's your time to shine. And he didn't shine at all.
No, he was as bright as a blackout, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
As they all were. Let's just get talking about the game. I don't want to talk about this game for long. I know
I do. I have a lot of thoughts on this game.
Okay. Well, after a pitiful, predictable, and pish opening 25 minutes, the first noteworthy chance came the host's way.
You're mental. What are you talking about? This is the thing. You've avoided the big thing.
Which was?
Andy Halliday snapping his Achilles.
I'm sorry. Look, do you know what? These games are proving a chore. And I'm really watching to, for chances, goals back.
Right.
Sorry, lads. Sorry, Natiaka. Sorry, Andy Halliday.
Right.
The whole man's up.
The Halliday.
This is why you should host every week. I can't be arsed doing all this prep. It's been put to absolutely no use anyway.
Halliday, we don't know if Halliday snapped his Achilles, but by the sound he made, by the way it looks bad. It doesn't look good. Inexplicably walked round the pitch, even though there was a stretcher there.
Peter Haring also went down with a concussion later on. So I'm just going to drop that in there before I inevitably forget.
I won't, because I have very strong feelings on that. So, Andy Halliday comes off, and Toby Sibic came on. Now, we didn't really touch on Sibic against Fiorentina, but he did way better than anybody thought he was going to.
Actually, can we talk about the substitutes against Fiorentina? Because I thought Connor Smith
did very well.
Yeah.
Fair play.
The Italian press, La Gazzetta dello Sport, I picked up a copy to obviously, because it's iconic. I'm a one-in sports journal, and the fact that Hearts are in it's a rarity. So I was just like, I've got to grab myself a copy. But Cochrane was labelled a disaster. George Grant, I think one of the quotes was that he'd had his pants pulled down by Sofian Amrabat. And there was another one. There was another bad one. Cammy Devlin was deemed too light. So there you go. But there was praise for Halliday, Humphreys, and Connor Smith off the bench, which was nice to see.
I think that's fair. But what it did was Sibic did way better than anybody thought in Florence. And then him coming on, for the foreseeable, he needs to start every game for me. Because, not necessarily for his ability, right?
Because we've got nobody else at right back, is that what you're going to say?
No, he needs to play. We now need to play until Halkett rolls it back a 3. And he needs to play in the middle of that 3. Because...
Christ, who are you having at right wing back then? Forrest?
Well, yeah, we're going to have to fucking play Forrest there, and it's a disaster. Or Gino when he's back.
Oh, I'd rather Alan Forrest than Josh
So would
King at
I.
wing back.
So would I. But I know that means that's a bit of a problem. But what
A
happened?
bit of a problem, Jesus.
But this is what I mean. It's not as
Bloody
big a problem as many people think. Because as soon as Sibic came on, regardless of his own performance, which I thought was fine, Sibic generally on Sunday was all right with like 4 moments of absolute madness that is just clear from a player who's not confident. But what his presence did is suddenly, for the first time in what feels like years, is we had all our defenders playing in their natural position. Cochrane was able to go left wing back, Kingsley was able to be left centre half, and Nielsen was able to be right centre half. And that opening 45 minutes, we were in complete control of that game. It was a bit end-to-end at times, but I think we finished that half with 63% possession, and it felt like we were the home side. And part of that, we will get to him in a minute for the big thing, but was that Cochrane was able to get forward and take the ball out of defence.
That proved a blessing.
Yeah, but I mean in terms of he was starting to do that thing that Cochrane was doing at the start of the season where he was just spraying passes.
Yeah, pinging balls.
He's not been able to do that when he's been part of a 2 because you can't do that in a 2. It then allowed Kingsley to drift and occupy that space behind him where he's clearly more comfortable. I don't think it's a coincidence that was his better game out of the last 5. I thought that was Kingsley's best game recently because, I mean, it's not hard, like, because he's been off it massively recently. But
I should have passed on your kind words when I met him out in Florence.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's taking you this long to mention that photo where Craig Gordon looks bemused.
I was waiting for the right moment. I actually felt like saying to Stephen Kingsley, "Thanks for retweeting me the other week," but I thought it better not because I'd just end up looking like a weirdo. I've not got an obsession with him or anything, but I love you so much.
Well, he was much better. And I genuinely think Sibic was a big part of that because Sibic himself has said he's more comfortable in a 3. And we'll speak about his interview now because,
by all means,
if you hadn't seen it, Sibic spoke in the press this week about how he's doing mentally. And
you want me to get the quote up?
Yes, but that would be great. But it was a general, as Adam will read it, it was a general point about how he tries. It's hard to avoid criticism when you get directly tagged in it, and that he hopes to prove us wrong.
As he said when he said, "I don't really look, but sometimes you get tagged in things," obviously implying on social media. "We're all human. Some of us make mistakes. Of course, it's their club and they want their club to succeed. We play for the fans and we just want the best for them as well."
I just think it's an embarrassment if you tag players in criticism, particularly if it's personal abuse. No one's saying don't criticise people because obviously that's going to happen. Football fans, naturally, we can't influence the game. So
everyone's got an opinion, kids.
Yeah, exactly. But
George Grant was another, by the way. That Zurich second leg for doing what.
Yes, exactly. The amount of abuse he gets, and you see it. For example, a few years ago, Sean Clare was very open about the fact that social media got to him. And yes, no one is saying don't criticise players' performances. There's never
got the right to.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't tag them in it though. I wouldn't make sure they see it, and it doesn't help.
Sorry, I always think now, would I say it to the player if I met them in the street?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Just think of it like that.
But,
like I've seen the size of Toby Sibic. I certainly wouldn't be confronting him.
Massive, man.
He's huge.
I walked past him a few weeks ago, and he is a giant. He's so scary.
We'd not mess with him. I want Toby Sibic to succeed.
I think he will. I think he will.
Wrong. I really do.
And as I say, there was moments in that game where it was just like he just seemed to forget what he was doing. But you're going to have that when you're not playing regularly, and whenever you have, people have been so you've not played as well as you know you can, and as a result, people have been really, really critical of you for good or bad. And as I say, it's like, for example, with George Grant, so far I just don't think he's been good enough. He seems like a lovely guy, and I really hope we can be sat here in a couple of months and go, "Oh, look how stupid we were speaking about how poor Grant was in his performances.
We
Like,
want to be taken for mugs. That's why we've
absolutely
Heart of Midlothian Football Club, for crying out loud.
I want every week for me to say something slightly negative or critical, and the next week be proven like an absolute idiot who doesn't know what he's speaking about.
We're wanting to carve into that humble pie, aren't we, mate?
Yes, absolutely. And listen, Sunday was largely negative, and that's justified, right? Fully justified, especially the way the goals are conceded. But I do think there was some positives, and if it wasn't for huge misses, we would have went into that break pretty comfortable.
I was going to say there that Toby Civic came in a couple of times last season and performed really admirably. I thought he was our best player at Easter Road.
He was that night, yeah.
I thought he was excellent. I think Motherwell was at his second debut. I thought he was great.
Where he just absolutely blistered past Van Veen, and it was just like, oh my God, he's the fastest man alive.
Bossed him. Absolutely bossed him. There's more to come from Toby Civic. I'm convinced that I'm gonna give the guy my backing. As I hope to with all Hearts players. However, they do make it really hard sometimes. Alex Cochrane makes it really hard sometimes.
It's my fault. I'll take this one, lads.
Oh, well, do you know what? That's ballsy from you, Kyver. Fair play.
I had him on first goal scorer. So,
oh my God! Oh, I'd be spewing.
I'll take it. Would have won 85 quid, but it's fine, lads. It's fine.
I mean, for what it's worth, Bojan Miovski dragged one wide a couple minutes prior.
Mm-hmm.
That was a chance that I was going to allude to, but let's just talk about the miss. Stephen Humphrey's throw-in is controlled by Lawrence Shankland. They play a give and go. Nice little, oh, look at us. Ooh, we're breaking into the final third. Oh, look as though we're going to score. Stephen Humphreys centres for Alex Cochrane. Up from left wing back. He must be 4 or 5 yards out. Because he's virtually in the box.
He doesn't even shoot. It just hits off him.
It just trickles off him. Kelly Roos can't believe it. That is one of the most fortunate clean sheets he's ever had in his career. And somehow McIver is goalless. We should be 1-0 up. And I am sick to death of Hearts missing sitters away from home and them coming back to bite us in the arse. This month has been hell on earth.
What's going to happen on Saturday? Who's going to up it? Is somebody going to stand on the line and do that thing that you did when you were a kid, where you were cocky and you got down the ground and like headed it and just mix it? And then
that was Ronaldinho that inspired that with those leg ads, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
has Andy Halliday got that in his locker? And he's fully fit.
See if he does it and that happens. I don't care. He's my favourite player of all time.
That would be incredible shithousery.
It would be better if he missed it. That would be funnier as a moment. Andy, if you're listening.
At 1-0 down.
Do it.
Just, because there's already going to be the controversy with VAR and everything. Oh, this could be one for the history books.
Please.
But talk me through the Cochrane miss, because you're his biggest fan. And not even you could defend this.
I genuinely do think I am his biggest fan. I genuinely do think that in the fan base. It sums us up just now. Players low confidence, don't know what we're doing. Just
it's out, and it really is.
He tries
nothing
to
falls for us.
No.
I've noticed this in recent matches. There's nothing that's fallen for us. We think, that was a wee bit fortunate, but we've made the most of it.
It's not
we're not even getting this misfortune.
It's not even a big moment. It's not a big moment in this game, but in the second half, there was a corner that Aberdeen took that we cleared 3 separate times, and each time it would bounce off a body part of the Aberdeen player and then perfectly land at the feet of the next Aberdeen player. So it's like even things like that we're not getting.
We've not had that for the best part of months.
And just he tries to take it with his right, he tries to take it with his left, he tries to take it with his knee, he tries to take it with his head. He just doesn't know what to do. And ironically, that goal, if he'd scored it, is almost identical to every goal Cochrane has scored for us.
Posting in at the back post.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah.
And
Talbot, Dundee United. Yeah.
Motherwell. Was it Motherwell or Livingston at home? One of those.
Livingston at home.
Livingston at home,
aye.
It's just, it is that moment like Mackay's last week, where it's like, this is a club who's nothing's going right for them just now. Everybody goes through it at various stages, and we're currently just in it just now. And you have to almost just sit and laugh and be like, right, wait, there's nothing we can do about that. Like, that's not tactical. That's not Robin Nielsen shiting it in a game. That's just a player having a nightmare.
That's what I was going to come on to. Because, look, Lord knows, everybody knows that listens to this podcast on a regular basis. Shock horror, I'm not the biggest Robin Nielsen fan, but not even I can blame him when players are missing such sitters.
We'll get to another one later, which is not as bad a sitter.
From a player he signed.
But you could argue it's
I'm
as bad a sitter.
I'm only joking. I wanted to see what you'd say, because I wanted this player for time.
You could argue it is as big a sitter because it's a striker in that position who should know how to do it.
I think it's as bad.
I think it's as bad.
And
I didn't want to say that because I
Shankland.
get accused of Cochrane bias.
No, I love Shankland to bits. I'm a Lawrence Shankland stan, but that's a bad chance. But in saying that, I mean, talking about the rest of the first half, Alex Cochrane might have missed that sitter. No more than 3 minutes later, he's looking to set up the man that we've just spoken about, Lawrence Shankland. Does really well to persist, evades a couple red jerseys, pulls it back to the number 9, albeit it's on his left side, but into the side netting, not great. Humphreys and Snodgrass would then both try their luck. Kellerus denies the latter after the former shot was blocked. But in added time, there was two big chances either end. Craig Gordon makes a superb save to deny Duke as Aberdeen pass up, without question, their best opportunity of the first half. Snodgrass and Civic both slack in possession. Miofsky slides him in, should have been punished there. And we could have punished Aberdeen when Kellerus saves from Shankland, who looks to lob the Dutch keeper. Smart save.
Why would you try and lob a 6'5" guy?
But you know what? Do you know what annoys me more about that? Is the fact that Kellerus was adamant that it was a goal kick.
I said this on Twitter.
You've got a touch on it. Everybody can see clear as day that you've got a touch on that. So come on.
I really like Kellerus. I really like him. He's good. I know, right?
He's good, but I don't like him.
I've said this all the time. My favourite players in the world are goalkeepers and defenders. Right? That's who I like. I don't care about strikers and attacking players, stuff like that, right? I like defenders and goalkeepers. He's class. He's really energetic. He's really athletic. He's tall. He's got massive hands. He saves with his feet a lot.
Massive upgrade on Joe Lewis for me.
It's huge. And it was just, I was sat there at halftime going, for God's sake, why are we playing him? I just want to sit here and go, I can appreciate how good his performance is, because I was going, oh, he's really good. For God's sake, why? Why are you really good?
The Aberdeen player that I really like is the boy Duke. I think he's a bit raw, but I think he's good.
He's a unit, like.
Oh, he's not even particularly big.
He's not tall.
He's a wee stocky fella.
Yeah, I rate him.
A wee battering ram. But anyway, speaking of battering rams, Stephen Humphreys looked around Kellerus after Anthony Stewart's misjudgment in the second half. Did you think that was a pen? Because I didn't. No, that's fine. Just wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah.
Craig Gordon then saved from Duke on the angle after he receives from Miofsky once more. Ross McCrory goes on a mazy run, looks to centre for Miofsky, but both he and Duke are sliding in. Neither can convert. But just after the hour mark, we'll talk about the Lawrence Shankland chance. Comes Hearts' best opportunity of the second half by some distance. Probably our only opportunity of the second half, really. Mm-hmm. Alex Cochrane slipped down the left by Barry Mackay. Centres for Shankland once again, as Cochrane and Shankland just pass up numerous good chances. But Shankland looks to sort of open up the body, just as Stephen Humphreys did against Fiorentina, and slam home, but instead it just trickles wide.
Yeah. Because that's what I mean. Like, that should be 2-0, and that should be the game.
Goals change games, mate. We've learnt this lesson in the past week, 2 weeks.
25 years.
My dad would argue 57 years.
Yeah, exactly. 1874. Ah, God.
Don't you just simultaneously love and hate Hearts?
I never hate Hearts. I love them.
It's a love-hate thing. I love them, but they fucking hate me.
No, you hate them most of the time. Don't even pretend. there's glimmers of love, and then you just spend most of your time.
No, there are glimmers of love. Usually, yeah. Who am I kidding? I should talk this club more than anyone I know.
But it just, I don't even really want to speak about their goals, right?
They make it so hard sometimes.
Their goals were emblematic of a team who are in a rut. We don't take our chances. They have two very easy ones. Lewis Nielsen's probably at fault for both.
My God, the second one.
The second one's really bad.
The second one's dreadful. That's the worst goal I've seen us concede in a good while.
Of course, I just think it perfectly sums us up now.
Do you know what? The first one, I can appreciate the boy Ramadani's pass that slipped.
It's a good ball. It's a really good ball.
Great ball, decent touch.
Yeah.
Nice finish under Gordon. I've got no complaints about that at all. But the second one, Jesus Christ.
And that's what I mean, like, obviously, because Heart of Midlothian lost a game, so therefore the Nielsen out chat started on Twitter, which I'm very much just over now.
In fairness, look, I wasn't screaming Nielsen out after Sunday, but everybody has got a right when they look at the stats with regards to 4 and 21. And I know that you're going to isolate it and say in that time we've played Fiorentina, Istanbul.
That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say I still don't think it, but I still don't think
exceptional circumstances.
I still don't think the result on Sunday means suddenly it's okay to say Nielsen out. Personally, I don't, because of the exceptional circumstances.
Been piping up for a while as well.
I know. I think criticism is valid. Criticism is absolutely valid, because what's the point in just sitting going, no, you can't criticize him. But you need to look at context. Everybody's seen the graphic where we're a goalkeeper injury away from a full squad out. And it's not just like, because a lot of people I've seen a lot of people say it's similar to Levine and McPhee's tenure where we had all those players, but that was like 85-year-old Stephen McLean and Machino was out. This is like our two starting centre halves,
our two project players that are coming to develop. Fuck off.
Our two starting centre halves, two starting midfielders, and best attacker are all out. It's almost impossible to do much there when you then are playing the Old Firm multiple times, European games, playing every 3 days. So criticism, fully justified, but also that goal, that's just terrible. It's not. That's not Nielsen's fault.
We actually had a chat about this in my class today, and we were talking about like Arbroath and how they've tailed off from the Championship last year. When you look at it, they obviously lost Joel Newbley, Jack Hamilton.
Isn't their average squad age 32?
James Cragen. Like, all it takes is a couple of bodies for a Scottish squad.
Yeah.
St Johnstone were exactly the same from the double team.
Mm-hmm.
All they lost was Jason Kerr and Ali McCann, and then
we went to Pataudry.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Kelly finished third under Steve Clark. They lost the likes of Jordan Jones signing his pre-contract with Rangers. Stephen O'Donnell opted to go elsewhere. Greg Stewart didn't sign on. Yusuf Malumbu moved on to Celtic. Yeah. You could make so many examples for Scottish sides that lose a couple key players and they're nowhere near the levels that they were prior.
We went to Pataudry on Sunday with a third string defence.
Yeah. You've got two left backs playing in a back three. No, sorry. You've got Corbin,
we started with two left backs in a back three. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. That was not good enough on Sunday, but I kind of have to go. I just feel for Nielsen. What is he meant to do in this current situation? I want to speak about hiring because because I just think that was horrifically mismanaged.
Yeah, that was poor. That was really bad. When you know that the signs are bad when everybody surrounding him is just instantly flagging to get the.
I don't understand why he was asked to stand. I don't understand why he was asked to walk. I don't understand why, as soon as he starts standing and walking with his hands behind his head, trying to keep his neck centered, it immediately was, okay, stop, go back down. He couldn't walk straight. He had no idea.
Pleased to see Robbie say that he seemed to be okay afterwards and that they'll take all the necessary concussion protocols, but that was scary.
He said, Nielsen, when he was asked, went, yeah, he's back awake, which was like, wait, what?
As though he'd been sleeping the entire time that they were trying to resuscitate him or whatever.
I think that was horrifically mismanaged there. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But as
Medic McIver, out he comes.
As Borthwick and Laurie were saying on commentary, it's mental that he was asked to walk. He attempted to walk.
Medic McIver would be a good title. I was thinking Baby Steps prior to that, but Medic McIver.
I like Baby Steps though. Baby Steps is good
because that'll wind some people up. Yeah, let's go with that. Speaking of winding people up, this second goal, man.
Yeah,
my God, bad. It actually gets worse every time I watch it. Substitute Vicente Bazawin comes off the bench to effectively seal the deal, but dukes up against Lewis Nielsen inside his own half, seemingly carrying an injury. Puts the afterburners on to escape Lewis.
No, Nielsen. He doesn't. He just walks. He just kind of walks.
No, he must be sprinting because Lewis Nielsen is jogging at best. So how he's not caught up with him, I don't know. Then there's hundreds of space for Bazawin to just roam into because we're at 6s and 7s defensively. Nobody's covering the left flank. He's got all the time in the world. It's actually as though the time just slowed down. I felt like I was watching the goal in slow motion. And ever since, I've watched it countless times back. It seems like I'm watching it in slow motion. I feel like I'm wasting years of my life watching this just a couple of times. Because he's got all the time in the world to just slam home.
It's just...
And then that's it. 2-zip, bang, game's a bogey.
As I say, it's just a goal that is like emblematic of where we are just now. Just, we need Halkett back. We need Rolls back. We need everybody back. I want to raise
all I want is a bag of cans and a settled back four.
I want to raise a slight point that we haven't really spoken about. And we haven't really spoken about it for weeks now. Has Barry Mackay played well since Liam Boyce got hurt?
Has Barry Mackay played well since he equalled last season's goal tally and there was talk of a Scotland call-up?
That's what I'm saying. That's when Boyce was fit.
No, is the answer.
Liam Boyce, and I'm slightly smug, right? I didn't want to be proven right about this, but there is a part of me that's smug about this.
Just so you know, I wasn't challenging you with regards to Liam Boyce. I know you were. Liam Boyce is a fantastic player.
Yeah, but certain sections of the fan base were like, Boyce is done. He's not good enough.
Boyce is shite. He never scores anymore.
Yeah, and what has been like, there's two obvious things for Hearts fans. One is that we need Halkett and Rolls back as actual centre halves. The other thing is that Boyce's role, as a lot of people rightly said, was so much more than scoring goals. He became a number 10 to allow link-up, which meant Barry Mackay was able to just do whatever he wanted and do magical wee things. But now, Barry Mackay has to do the link-up, which he isn't as good at, which means he isn't in a position anymore to do the little passes, which really exposes the side of his game.
To contribute not in the same way that he did previously. And,
yeah.
And do you know what? I'd love to see Benny Beringamy back as well, because we need legs.
Yeah, we need him as well.
So leggy in the middle of the park, so lethargic, so pedestrian. Oh.
Right. Fuck Celtic at the weekend, because we're going to get bad.
Well, time's marching on. I was going to say that's all she wrote at Tawdry. Just a small matter of the reigning champions at Tynecastle this weekend, McIver. A much better Celtic team than the one that we beat last July, our last win against the old Hoops. Fixtures don't get any easier. That's all I was going to say.
It'll be a cricket score, and we just need to move on.
I can't say I'm looking forward to that. No matter. Let's move on to the quiz.
Right.
It's the best bloody segment.
For those listening and watching, Adam made it very clear to me earlier today that these quiz questions were done at short notice, and I'm operating off just under 3 hours of sleep. So this is going to be the worst quiz we've ever done.
That's fine, mate. In fairness, if anybody gets 5 out of 5 within this quiz, I'll be astonished.
Imagine if this is the week it happens.
If this is the week that it happens, I'll be fizzing.
It won't.
Right, here we go. First question is your true or false. So we've got true or false, we've got a multiple choice, got who am I? Yeah.
Right.
True or false? Heart and Midlothian have won more Scottish top tier titles than Fiorentina have won Italian top tier titles.
True.
I like the confidence, and the confidence has paid off because it is true. Hearts have been champions of Scotland 4 times, Fiorentina champions of Italy just twice.
I thought it was going to be 2, and in my head I was like, have we won more than 2 leagues?
Oh, there you go. Good start. This is not.
That's it.
Well.
The ends. That's it,
well.
lads. It's 1 out of 5. It'll be 5-1 like the Fiorentina score.
Second question is your multiple choice.
Right.
In which minute did Gary Mackay-Steven open the scoring in last season's 2-1 victory at Tynecastle, which saw Hearts beat Celtic in the season opener? Was it A, 5, B, 6, C, 7, or D, 8?
I think it was 5 or 6 because I think it was really early. I'm trying to think though. I feel it was like 5:30, which would be the 6th minute. Or do you count that as the 5th minute?
No, well, I'm looking at what it appeared as on the thingies, on the score sheets or whatever. So I'm assuming that it goes from 5 to 5:30 being the 5th, and from 5:30 to 6.
No, see, I thought if it's 5:01, that's the 6th minute because 0 to 59 is the first minute.
No, this is getting technical.
So if I think it's 5,
this is like the whole minutes of applause thing.
I think 5 plus would be the 6th minute.
Okay.
So I'm going that he scored in 5 something, which is the 6th minute.
Well, you're wrong anyway, because the answer was D, the 8th minute. I thought
was it?
I thought it was earlier than that as well.
I thought it was much earlier than that.
I thought I'd catch you up with that, so that's good.
Wow.
I felt like it was 5 or 6 as well, but
I thought it was like 3. In my head, I was expecting 3 to be an option. I was like, I'll go with that.
But not according to it, not according to the research I did earlier. So that's great. Right, this is the question that I'm really mortified about.
Okay.
Aberdeen have played at Pittodrie since their inception, but Pittodrie is said to be the first football stadium which was home to what?
What does that mean? I don't even understand the question.
So
what? I genuinely don't even understand what that means.
So, like, you know how Hibs brag about Easter Road and the floodlights?
Oh, so Pittodrie was the first football stadium in Scotland to have something.
Yes.
Seats?
Close.
Oh, I don't know what that means. I'll go with seats, even though it's not right, because I don't know what close to seats means.
It was a dugout. It was a dugout.
Oh,
okay.
Seats is.
Do you know what? I'm going to give you that.
I appreciate that.
They sit in the dugout.
Yeah, they sit.
So, yeah.
Pittodrie was the first stadium with a dugout.
Yeah. I was quite surprised when I saw that, because I was getting Aberdeen questions because I thought that the win over them was just, or rather, their win over us was really annoying, and none more so than when Vicente Bizawan sealed the deal from the bench for Aberdeen on Sunday.
From the dugout. He came from the dugout that they had.
He got up off his seat in the dugout and decided to join the action. Right. The 21-year-old winger represented the Netherlands at youth level, but in which South American country was he born? And I've even narrowed down the question for you.
Paraguay.
Colombia.
Unlucky.
Right, who am I? That was comfortably the worst quiz of all time. So
I got 2 out of 4. I'm happy with that.
You did well. That. You did well. Given that the questions were shite, you did well. But this is the main one. This is the big daddy. This is the creme de la creme of the Perth Paisley.
As I say, less than 3 hours sleep, so my brain is not. I can only think of Kevin McKenna. He's the only person that's in my head.
Imagine this was the week I
know.
Right. I only played lower league football in my country before moving to the Greek Super League and then on to Edinburgh with HMFC. I netted 3 goals in my first 2 league appearances for the Jambos, and the Hearts manager at the time when I was playing for the club blamed a red card that I picked up for not handling the rough and tumble of Scottish football. I left the men in maroon, evidently not fancied by a different manager than the one that had signed me, and I only went on to play in Japan. Who am I?
Oh, I had an answer in my head up until that point.
Right. I'm going to get this man's Wikipedia up because I know that you're going to ask questions.
I know. However, my 2 questions.
What was the bloke that was in your head?
I was going to say up until the 2 managers thing, I was going to say Cholese.
Ooh, okay.
Because I remember him scoring that goal against Motherwell very early on. Was it Motherwell? The volley for the edge of the box. I don't think it was Motherwell.
No, did we not win it for Park?
Was it Motherwell?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. I remember that goal, and in my head, I'm like, did he score another one? And I seem to remember him getting a red card. But then when you said the manager, I don't think he played under multiple managers for us. Right. I know my two questions. One, I would like to know what year he signed in.
Okay. He signed in 2015.
Oh, it could be Joe East. He signed around then. Right. And, oh, no, now I don't.
You better think very carefully with this question.
Because I don't know if I want to ask the clubs, because I don't know where Joe East ever played. So I don't know if it's a waste of a question. Right. I'm really narrowing it down on Joe East. So I'm going to ask a really specific question.
Oh, I like that from you.
That I need, that if you don't know the answer to this, I've wasted the question.
Okay.
Did Hearts fans on YouTube make a song to the tune of Joe League?
What? What?
Because Joe Lease had a song
to some, Dolly Parton's Joe
where somebody went Joe Lease.
I've never even heard of this song.
Right. I've
never even heard of this song, but this folk did not have said song.
So that's my question done. Right.
Do you want me to read the clues again?
Yeah, please.
I only played lower league football in my country before moving to the Greek Super League and then on to Edinburgh with HMFC. I netted 3 goals in my first 2 league appearances for the Jambos, and the Hearts manager at the time when I was playing for the club blamed a red card that I picked up for not handling the rough and tumble of Scottish football. I left the Men in Maroon evidently not fancied by a different manager than the one that had signed me, and I only went on to play in Japan. Who am I?
I fucked it. What a waste of time. Trulis was Greek. So if
I did wonder why you were going down that route.
If he only played lower league in his nation,
listen to the question.
How could he play in the Greek Super League? Right. 3 goals, nothing 2 games. But when I said he signed in 2015,
yes.
Is that the year or the season? Do you mean he signed 15-16 or he signed in 2015?
He signed in the summer of 2015.
Right, okay.
Ahead of the 15-16
Right,
season.
so that season, we signed June, we signed Juanma, we signed no one else that I can fucking remember. And I'm gonna give my answer just now and then explain before you jump in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Juanma purely because I can remember him scoring against St Johnstone. I can remember him getting sent off, and Nielsen left, and I think he was there under. Well, Cathro came in, but it was under Levine. No, was it? No, thingy. I can't even mind his name now. Used to play for Rangers. He was our caretaker. John Daly. John Daly was our caretaker. And I don't think he fancied it. And like Steve, I'm going to go with Juanma. Is it Juanma?
Daniel McIver.
It's not Juanma.
Miraculously,
it's not.
You've got the right answer. Well done, Juanma Delgado. Good knowledge.
Now, I will say, I was a big fan of Juanma.
So I liked Juanma.
He has a 1 and 2 goal record for us, a goal contribution for us.
It's not bad.
I don't think he has 1 and 2 goals, but in terms of if you add assists, I heard a story about
according
him.
to Wikipedia, it's a 1 and 3, just better than a 1 and 3. He's got 12 and 33. I don't think that's.
I think he then got 7 assists as well. I think he got a fair few. I'm going to check right now what he got.
Or are you going to check London Hearts or something?
No, I'm going to check the only thing I use, Transfermarkt, which is quite good.
Thanks, London Hearts, for your continued backing. Really appreciate it. McIver doesn't even bother with your
right.
website.
Juanma got 13 goals for us and 6 assists in 43 games. So 19 goal contributions in 43 games.
Yeah, not bad.
That's not bad at all. I would take that.
Considering he was offside half the time.
He lived offside.
That's really not bad. Oh, don't we know it?
He got 14 yellow cards and 1 red.
Which was against St Johnstone in a 0-0 draw at McDermott Park. And Robbie Nielsen afterwards came out and said that he couldn't handle, for not handling the rough and tumble.
Asteras Tripolis was his Greek team.
and Cologne, who we signed him from.
Ah, okay.
So
Wow.
there you go.
I'm chuffed with that.
And he's still playing in Japan. So well done, mate. Good.
I'm buzzing with that.
You did very well there.
Heard that there was a rumour that I heard about Juanma that somebody went up to Stevie Crawford in a chippy. It was like, why did Juanma not play properly? Anyway, because he was a dick. so don't know how true that is, but I liked Juanma and I miss him.
Anybody got any obscure Wanma stories? Because one of my pals bumped into him in IKEA, as you tend to do.
I really vividly remember that St Johnstone game because it was the summer before I went to uni, and I had been up until like 4 a.m. the night before, woke up because it was an early kickoff and it was on TV, missed like 70 minutes, turned on as Juanma was scoring, and I was like, well, the new signing's good. Like, I'll take that.
Oh, sorry, you're meaning the 4-3?
Yeah, the 4-3.
That was one of my dad's only first goal scorer bets to have ever landed for Hearts. He and I celebrated as though we'd just won the league.
Yeah.
It was scenes. Brad Mackay slipped on his arse, and then the new boy was in, and lo and behold, tucks it away. What a crazy game that was. That was a great season.
See, for folk who are like, Nielsen's boring. 4-3 first game back in the league. That's what you want.
I know. We tried our very best to piss that away as well as only we could.
Yeah. But I'm buzzing with that. That's me got 5. It's 5-1. What a way to bring this back round to the Fiorentina game.
Allegedly. We'll need to go back and track.
I think it is. I think it's 5-1.
I think you might be right. But I really hope you're
right. I think we should retire.
Fucking spewing with that.
I think we should retire
the questions.
I know. And literally all the questions were wrong, and I got it wrong.
Well, no, in saying that, the when did he sign was a good question.
Yeah, true.
Because then you hark back to that window.
I can only remember Juanma and Jum as signings.
Juanma, Jum, Igor Rossi.
Oh, Igor Rossi! How could I forget? I miss him. Kingsley was the only time we've replaced Igor Rossi. There was like 5 years where we hadn't replaced him.
15, 16.
Is that when we said Lenny Soa?
As well,
yes, it was. It was Oshinawa. Soa was the season after. Yeah. Christ. What a laugh. What an up and down transfer window that is.
Miguel Payardo was in the championship.
Yeah, Payardo was in the championship. I was there for that Alloa game, the coldest I've ever been at a game where they scored that raker.
But yeah, Rossi, Juanma.
Rossi, Juanma and June. That's a good window.
The boy Augustin at the back as well.
I liked Augustin. He wasn't as good as Rossi, but I thought Augustin was all right.
We've gone into a
reminiscing. That when Perry Kitchen signed. No, I think he was a year later.
No, I think you might be right. Was that another January? Because the season in the States was done.
Oh, maybe. You might be right. Who knows?
Did Cathro sing Kitchen?
I can't mind. Anyway.
That could be a who am I in upcoming weeks.
Well, we hope you have enjoyed me getting, even on like no sleep, still getting Juanma. You need to up your levels. Very similar levels of difficulty between Skrepis last week and Madelgado.
I think that, I mean, Skrepis was by far the hardest who am I anyone's ever done.
And what we'll ever do.
I need an easier one next week, please.
You'll get an easier one. I know who you're getting next week, so you'll get an easier one next week.
That's good.
Right. If you have enjoyed it, please do leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. It's much appreciated. If you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment. We're on all the social media at Perth Paisley. We're also got email, perthpaisley@gmail.com. Adam, where can they get you on social media?
You can find my public apology to Keir McIver on all the socials at Adam T. Kendall. And what about yourself, mate?
That's actually, as I've been doing the outro there, I've just reminded myself, apologies last week for the YouTube issue. The internet just went down in my house. So
it's all right, mate. It's fine. It's not like there was countless people waiting on a podcast. It's okay.
I got a few angry messages, but hopefully this week, all of them
not from me before anybody starts.
Hopefully this week we're fine. We're in business. We should be all right. But we'll be back next week to discuss all the fallout from the inevitable battle against Celtic. Preview the upcoming doubleheader again that we've got, and anything.
Ross County in it.
Yep, the double R's. Anything else as well. So until then, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Monogites!